Here we go.
Hey guys, Carolina Autos here. My name's Eric Sill. As some of you guys have noticed, I've been uploading a lot of content lately with my new Veloster N, and several of you have asked for a full review. So we're going to get that done today, kind of go exterior, interior, and kind of some likes and dislikes and stuff like that. So you guys let me know what you think down in the comments, and anything else you'd like me to film, I am absolutely happy to do so. Okay, so I got the camera turned around, and here is my obviously 2019 Veloster N. This is a performance pack car, and I picked this up for $30,200 on the nose. I actually traded in a Gen 1 Veloster Turbo on this, and Stivers Hyundai down in Columbia gave me a really good deal on the trade-in, so I was happy with that. The only mod I have done to the car, interior or exterior, is the window tint. You guys can tell that's 35%, which is the maximum allowable in the state of North Carolina. Does a pretty good job. You know, from certain angles you can see more into the car than from others, but really recommend it. The car kind of looks a little bit like a fishbowl without it. So yeah, let's go through some of the exterior features. Like I said, this is a performance pack car. And the only real easy way to tell a performance pack car from a standard car in the US is the performance pack car comes with these 5-star wheels. The other regular model has 18-inch kind of more split spoke wheels, and they sit on Michelin's, and the performance pack cars here sit on Pirelli P0 HNs. Really good sticky tire. I like them quite a bit. You guys can see the HN designation there. So moving around to the other side, just kind of some of the ground effects. On all the red cars, all the ground effects are black. It's kind of funny, actually, somebody reached out to me about switching out for some white ones from one of the other cars, but I kind of like the black ground effects, and that kind of carries on around the back side of the car as well. Diffuser there. You guys can see the large, I think those are 4-inch outlet exhausts. It's a 2.5-inch exhaust all the way through, but 4-inch outlet. Do have a rear wiper blade. Everybody has always mentioned the design of the tail lights. Let's see if we can get a little bit better of an angle there. There you go. They kind of have arrows pointing in towards the center of the car. An interesting design, maybe a little bit reminiscent of some of the Gallardos, the Lamborghini Gallardo, and that is actually the brake light, the third brake light right there, integrated into the wing. Really cool. The back window is tinted as well, same 35%. Some kind of fake carbon fiber here on the end of the wings. You guys can see the red brake calipers all around. And they do say N on the front ones. Just 4-pot calipers, nothing too spectacular, not Brimbos or anything, but they really do stop well. We've got a couple of fake vents on the front, which is, you know, it's kind of just the way the automotive industry has gone the last few years. It does have LED headlights, low beams. The high beams are actually regular standard bulbs. And you guys can see in here, radiator and intercooler kind of mounted together inside there. I don't know if all of the Velosters have this design on the hood. I haven't taken a close enough look, but I do like that it's got kind of a raised hood in the center. It's a little bit of a styling cue there from Hyundai. So I wanted to turn the car on and show you guys what the headlights are like when they're lit up. So you can see LED running lights and main headlight. LEDs are kind of funny to show up on camera. The refresh rate on LEDs messes with the camera's syncability. But yeah, they're fantastic headlights. They're aimed a little bit low for my taste, but other than that, they look good. The whole front end of this car, really. Hyundai did a fantastic job on the front. Walk around back. And there you can see the tail lights. Okay, and I did want to give everyone a exterior walk around with the car opened up. So obviously, this being a Veloster, everybody should be pretty familiar with this by now. You got one door on this side, and the one door on this side is actually about 6 inches longer than the front door on the other side, because on the other side we have two doors. Kind of quirky design, maybe mildly functional. I would prefer to just have four doors, just have the same arrangement on both sides, but I do like the quirkiness. And I'm glad Hyundai kind of stuck to their guns with that from the original Veloster. You see plenty of room in the front seat, in and out. And if you look closely, you can actually tell the B-pillar is quite a bit further back on the driver's side than the passenger side. Kind of a interesting design there. Back seat room. And cargo space. Cargo space is pretty good. You do get this luggage shelf. As I pull down the hatch, you can tell it's a luggage shelf, and it does really well hiding your things. But if you want to, you can just unclip it and either fold it away or remove it entirely. And the back seats do fold completely flat if you don't have your driver's seat all the way back like I do. You can fold them down, take the luggage rack out, and it actually has pretty good little cargo space back here. I bought some lawn chairs not that long ago and was able to fit 4 lawn chairs just kind of laid right down in the back. So pretty practical car, from at least from a cargo standpoint. When we get into the interior of the car, we'll go over some of the space constraints, especially in the back. Okay, so rather absurdly, I forgot to lift the hood for the exterior walk around. So there is the 2-liter heart of the Veloster N. I just got a kind of a basic plastic engine cover on here. As you guys can see, this car is completely stock. Even the air box and everything is factory. Just a lot of hard plastics. I mean, that's pretty much how most cars are under the hood nowadays. You can kind of get a good peek at the turbo down through there. The cool side, at least. And the hot side is wrapped in all this heat shielding. Hyundai actually did a really good job with the heat shielding. You can see there's some even up there on the firewall, and it runs down behind the turbo and everything to keep that heat from the turbo contained behind the engine, and hopefully as far away from the air intake as possible. Okay guys, so we're going to start the interior view of the car actually on the exterior end in the back seat. So just wanted to kind of point out that the passenger seat here is a little bit further forward than the driver's seat. I pretty much have to drive with the driver's seat all the way back because I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'3". So as you can see, not too much room to get in the back. The door opening is small because of the sloped roof. It slants down pretty good back there, as you can see, just kind of following the body line. So you really have to watch your head getting in this third door. And I can actually get behind the passenger seat, but it really is a struggle, as you can probably hear from my voice. So once I'm in, here's kind of the situation I'm looking at with the passenger seat forward a bit. My knee is against the center console on that side and pretty much against the door jamb on this side. I can shut the door, but if I wasn't paying attention, I would definitely squeeze my knee between there. Very little foot room, if we can get the camera to focus there. My feet are kind of just stuck under the passenger seat. There is no way I'd be able to get into behind the driver's seat at all. Now I do have kids. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. They fit back here just fine. And in fact, it's kind of an adventure for them getting in the back because they get to scoot across from the third door. Sorry, that probably wasn't all that graceful, but so yeah, so back room, back seat, leg room and headroom are both compromised. Not exactly the point of this car, but if you are looking at a Type R, like I was, versus the Veloster N, something you might want to think about. The Type R is definitely more practical if you're carrying passengers on a regular basis. Okay guys, so cockpit view from inside the Veloster N shows you a really clear look at two analog gauges, and you've got your center screen in the middle. All your window switching and stuff is really standard Hyundai. Mirror controls, all that good stuff is very, very standard Hyundai. Elantra, Sonata, it's all pretty much the same. This is a pretty basic interior for a $30,000 car. Now, we know this car is geared towards performance and not necessarily comfort, so we will excuse it that. On the steering wheel, you've got all kinds of stuff going on, from your cruise control here, rev matching information that'll control that little center screen there. Over here is all your infotainment and phone controls. And then you've got your drive mode button, which are the standard Hyundai preset drive modes, and then this is the N button. It's just a race flag, but it is that controls the full N mode, and then you're in custom mode. So we'll give it a start up here. Keyless start on all Veloster Ns. I'm pretty sure most of the Veloster turbos and Ns all come with keyless start. Neutral always, clutch in, and just hit the button once to start the car. If you don't want to start the engine and just want to turn on, the radio or the electronics, you just leave your foot off the clutch and press that button for the radio and auxiliary systems, and then twice for like the full ignition so you can control the windows. Okay, so now that we've got the car started, I'm actually gonna shut the door because I don't think it's gonna show us anything until we do. There we go. So let's zoom in a little bit. On the center column here, we've got oil temperature, torque, and turbo. That's kind of the standard one. Fuel economy is on the next screen. Tire pressure, we can't see them, obviously we're not driving. And then all of your user settings are in here. You can control pretty much everything from, your setting your service interval to what kind of chimes the car makes and what the lights do when you turn the car off, things like that. Some of the other modes, when you go back to the original gauge cluster, so you can scroll down on the wheel here. Just click down once, and you've got a lap timer. Click down twice, and you've got a G meter right there on the center of the dash. I don't recommend paying too much attention to the G meter, but it is kind of fun to just go around like a highway on-ramp and see. You can get it up to like 0.9 or 0.1 or something like that. So moving on from the gauge cluster, we have the infotainment screen, which is kind of like a tablet almost mounted to the dash here. And this is one of the best infotainment systems I've ever used. It's fast, it's quick. It does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So all you audiophiles out there can access your Spotify and everything from right there. It works. The apps work really well in the Hyundai screen. You can see it's very responsive. You click and it doesn't take a time really at all. I got all kinds of driving information settings in here, and I did want to go through with you guys some of the N mode options. So go into your menu and hit N mode. Now this is where we can have a performance timer. That'll measure you. You can do lap, which is right there, or you can click over a tab, and you've got acceleration. You see my last acceleration to 60 was 6.3. I'm not sure why it was that slow, but you guys can check out some of my other videos. I think I got some 5.9, 0 to 60s in there. You've got a G meter you can pull up over here. You can kind of see where I've been tracking. We're out there a little bit past the 1G mark at times. I guess that's just from today's driving. I haven't reset it, so. Then you've got all the kind of turbo and torque and everything, so you can see when I rev it, the torque bar will go up, power bar will go up, turbo even there going up, because the N's do have a little bit of an anti-lag system, so they will build boost even in neutral. So once you get into your N mode on the infotainment, this is where you can set up your N custom settings. So we'll go through how I've got mine set. You can start with the engine. this is basically throttle response. It makes no difference in actual power output, but the Sport Plus does give you the fastest throttle response. The rev matching I like in Sport. The Sport Plus is really aggressive and abrupt sometimes, especially going into first. So I keep it in Sport because you don't want to be driving around normally in Sport Plus rev matching. It just doesn't really make sense. The LSD, the ELSD on this car, you can put it in normal or Sport. I keep it in Sport. Make sure I have plenty of traction. And exhaust sound. So exhaust sound, of course, we put that in Sport Plus because that's what gives you all the pops and bangs. So if you want to hear the difference here, right now the car is in Eco mode. We'll select Eco mode and give it a rev. Very quiet. Normal mode, and normal mode is displayed over here on the screen as well. So normal mode and Eco mode sound pretty much the same. Now there is a Hyundai Sport setting. So this is not the N setting, but it does give you the Sport exhaust, but not the Sport Plus. So that's quite a bit different sound from there. So then from that way we go down here and press our N button. Now we're in, this is the full N mode. That's the first default setting. Now this one will give us the pops and bangs, and I will apologize to everyone in the neighborhood for what I'm about to do. I hope nobody is sleeping. So that's the pops and bangs you get from the N mode. And then my favorite mode, and the one I use most often, is the purple N custom. So you hit your N mode again, and now I'm in N custom with the settings that we were going over a moment ago. Now this has the exact same sound and everything. I don't want to rev the car again so I don't upset anyone. So once you got all that set up, there you see there's two tabs up here, powertrain and chassis. The suspension I keep in normal because this is the N custom mode is my pretty much daily driving mode if I'm not in normal. The Sport and Sport Plus suspension are just way too hard for city streets. You can probably get away with them on a back road and be fine, but it's too stiff and bouncy for the city. Steering I like in Sport. Normal is a little bit too loose. I don't know if it actually changes the ratio. It doesn't seem like it does, but it really changes the weighting, and the normal is super light. Sport's a good heavy setting. Sport Plus is very heavy, and you get a lot of feedback in Sport Plus. And then the ESC I keep in Sport. You can also turn it off. Every now and again I will turn it off, and actually you'll get the best results launching 0 to 60 if you turn that off. Now I'm not going to do this now because the car, it kind of freaks out when you turn the traction control off. You can alternatively, to turn the traction control off, you can reach down here right by the shifter. There is a traction control button. You can just hold that down and it will turn it off. So those are all the infotainment and gauge screens. Really happy with the gauges and the cockpit in general. Hyundai did just a knockout job with the functionality, at least, of this interior. It might be some basic plastics, but hey, for $30,000, you really do get a lot here, especially with all these in-custom settings. So that's really cool. And I don't know if anybody has really gone through that whole screen yet, so hopefully that's useful to some of you. If you want to know more, or if there's something I may have left out, obviously let me know. I can edit some stuff in if I need to. So here's just a kind of more of a kind of 360. You do have the blue stitching and the blue seat belts on the seats here. Obviously they say N. Now they're just cloth. Nothing too special about the seats. They are very supportive. Pretty deep buckets, pretty good bolsters on the side. And the driver's side, I don't know if you'll be able to see down here, does actually have a lumbar adjuster right down here next to where you would lay the seat back, like right where the end of my, let's see if the camera will focus. It might not do it. Oh, there we go. So right here next to where you would lay the seat back, there is a lumbar, an electric lumbar support. I didn't actually know that for several weeks after I bought the car, and I just happened upon it, and I was actually on a trip and it worked out really well. So we can show you that. Actually right there on the side of the seat. There you go, there's your lumbar support, and it just kind of goes up, down, forward and back. Works really well. So the Velosters, I'm pretty sure all the Veloster turbos and up have the Infinity. It's a 6-speaker sound system. It sounds really good. It's got kind of a mini subwoofer in the back. Nothing too powerful, but it will be pleasing to everybody who's not an absolute audiophile, and would have to upgrade maybe to an amplifier and stuff like that. But it's absolutely good enough for me. Up top, obviously we have our rear view mirror and everything. It's got the Hyundai assistance and roadside assistance and everything on there. And then we have, of course, our sunglass holder, which is important. And then normal interior lights. And you can set them, oh, bump the camera there. You can set them, you know, to auto on, auto off, right there up top. Storage pockets. We do have quite a bit of storage on either side. There's an extra cup holder there. Obviously 2 cup holders in the center. The center console is quite deep. I have all my camera equipment in there, no problem. My GoPro and everything will fit right down in there. You've got another cubby hole right here. That's a good spot where I just put my phone, because obviously to attach to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you have to actually use the USB. That is not a Bluetooth thing. And another kind of little cup holder over here. It works good for bottles and things like that. And then we do have a commodious glove box. I don't really have much in there, but I'm kind of a minimalist, as you guys can kind of probably tell from the state of the inside of my car. So that is kind of a good little intro to the interior of the Veloster N. And if you guys need more, I am happy to, you know, if you guys want me to get into some of the radio and all that stuff, we can do that on a separate video. Just comment below and I will be happy to show you anything that you guys want to know. Alright everyone, so now that we've gone through the interior and exterior of the car, I did have a few likes and dislikes to go over. So we'll go through the likes first. First off, one of my favorite parts of this car is that exhaust system is an absolute riot. Now that might seem kind of silly to be one of your favorite things about a car, but it really is. It's a fantastic exhaust system, and active, so you can turn it off. And I'll try to get a montage of this thing doing pops and bangs and tunnels and stuff, and throw it in the review video. Is to do with the grip and handling. Just the overall driving experience of this car is really fantastic. That's a really slick manual gearbox. I've never missed a gear in that thing, and no grinding, no anything like that. The brakes are actually really good. They get a little soft if you get them too hot, but these are actually the brakes off of the Kia Optima Turbo, I think the SX. So, you know, a much heavier car, so it stops this 3,100 pounds really quick. So just from the steering to the gears to the brakes, on a back road, this car is fantastic. So I really like the adjustable suspension. We went over in the in custom mode how you can just keep the suspension in normal and the rest of the car kind of in a more sporty settings, and really good shout out to Hyundai there. Really good job letting us mess around with our suspension and set it for soft or set up for the track and Sport Plus. That's great. Kind of rolling into that, my next favorite thing is that in custom mode and all the performance options you can fiddle around with in the infotainment. That's really good stuff there. The gauge cluster and the cargo space are the last two for the likes. So like I said, you can lay those back seats flat and you got plenty of cargo space. Maybe not practical for toting passengers around, but a really good job on the cargo space, and a nice big opening from Hyundai there. And the gauge cluster, just the kind of the cockpit in general is really well oriented towards the driver. As you guys can tell, you know, kind of everything lines up facing the driver and more driver oriented. This is definitely a driver's car. A few dislikes. I do, maybe not a dislike, but a negative, something that some people will definitely complain about, and some of the reviews I've seen have already complained about. The interior is very basic for a car at this price point. It's the same, it's basically the same interior you get on any other Veloster. And even more basic, really, because you just get cloth seats, no heated seats, nothing like that, no heated steering wheel, no sunroof. This car is designed pretty much solely with driving in mind, so you can't really ding Hyundai for that, but I can understand why people who sit in a GTI are like, well, the GTI has a better interior. I do get that. The gas mileage actually was the next ding that I had. So I tend to average, now I do a lot of city driving and I do drive this car really hard, but 14 to 15 miles per gallon seems a little bit excessive on fuel consumption to me. The third ding against the Veloster N is actually the power. Hyundai's claimed 275 horsepower from the performance pack car is, as you guys have seen on, if you've gone and watched my dyno video, I think those are a little bit optimistic numbers, that 275 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. The car seems to be making more like 250 horsepower at the crank, maybe 250 foot-pounds of torque as well. And some other people have seen, you can go look at dyno videos, they do tend to dyno a little bit lower than what you would think, and they don't feel all as fast or as quick as 275 horsepower sounds like. The fourth ding is this car does run really hot, generates a lot of heat under the hood, and sometimes, I mean, the fan on the front will run for 5 to 10 minutes after I get out of the car. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, so it does get hot down here. Today it's like 95 degrees, so I understand, but my Veloster Turbo never ran the fan that much. And there is a lot of heat soak associated with this car. It will pull performance from the motor once it gets hot, especially on a back road if you've been driving it hard for a while. It actually will stop doing the pops and bangs and stuff like that with the exhaust in an attempt to keep the engine cool, I'm assuming. And the last ding is the space in the back seat. As I mentioned before, guys, if you're looking for a car that's super practical, I would tend to lean more towards a Type R if you want this kind of car, or maybe a GTI or a Golf R. But of course, you're going to be looking at spending at least $10,000 more with either of those cars. So for value and for driving experience, you can't beat a Veloster N for $30,000. I know there's going to be people that say, yeah, well, you can get a used, what do we got, a Z06. You probably get a used Z06, a nice one, for 30 grand. Yeah, obviously the Z06 will be faster, but you don't get a warranty. That Hyundai 100,000 mile warranty is pretty spectacular for the powertrain. So yeah, so for 30 grand for a new car at this performance level, it's a really great deal. And I am really happy with it, especially once I get it out on a back road. Much happier with it than even I thought I would be. This thing is taking cars out, STIs and Focus RSs on back roads and mountain roads. It just runs away from everyone. And some of the other videos I've put up can attest to that. Okay, I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to watch my review of the Veloster N. If you want me to do a driving review as well, of course, comment down below. Let me know you'd like to see that. We can kind of go through the modes while we're driving. That would probably be pretty cool. Some people would like to see that. I don't have time to do all that today. It's Memorial Day weekend, and I've got a lot of stuff to do around the house before Memorial Day festivities tomorrow. So if you guys want to see that, maybe next weekend we can take the car up to one of my favorite roads and give just a full in-depth driving review. if you do want to see that, comment and say, hey, we'd really like to see that, and also maybe suggest some things that you'd like me to do, messing around with the in custom modes, obviously, and things like that. And I'll be sure to throw those in the video. So from Carolina Autos, I appreciate you watching our review, and let us know what we can do better. Thanks, everyone.